Joining us now on the show is our Hoops insider, Kevin McPherson. Kevin, how you doing this week?
Courtney, I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
Oh, we're good, and we have a lot to talk about when it comes to Hog Hoops, especially because I'm loving all the social media posts this week about the new additions, the former guys returning, and all coming on campus. The pictures are great. It's nice to see those guys step onto campus and officially be Razorbacks, right?
It is. We've been talking about moving day. Now we're past that and like in a hurry. I mean, they got in, most of them got in Memorial Day weekend. Then classes start on the 31st, that Tuesday. I know some of the players have already taken some tests. I mean, like in the first couple of days,
Wow.
already getting tested and academically right. And so they go through their physicals. They got on the court. There's 8 weeks of limited practice time. A team players can go through 4 hours of strength and conditioning work. This is monitored through the strength and conditioning program each week. And then on the court, they can have 4 hours of instruction. So Arkansas is at a point now, like I said, most of the players have moved back. You have a couple of stragglers. Jordan Walsh was the most recent to join the team later in the week, move on to campus, get his physical out of the way. And we saw him in the performance center with the other newcomers over the weekend. And we're still waiting on Anthony Black. He's with USA Basketball, the U18 FIBA Americas team that he made, 12-member Team USA. That group starts play in Mexico tomorrow through the 12th,
Oh, nice.
participating in that FIBA's Americas event, that tournament on the U8 under 18 part of it for Team USA Basketball. So Anthony Black, the five-star point guard out of Texas, will be on campus soon enough, and he'll round out really all 13 scholarship players to get on campus once he does. But you're right. It's been a busy, busy week. And when I went through some of the things that the players had to go through, in that opening week, but they move them pretty fast. They're it's just like an Eric Musselman practice. They don't stagnate on anything. Like I said, once they got into classes, they started taking tests. Seems like in the first day or so.
And they got their physicals done. I mean, they're moving along because Musselman wants to get with this group quick. It feels like he's just like, let's get going quickly. Let's be efficient with the time that we have. They've even posted practice videos, some practice videos of them in the gym and everything. I mean, it's nice to see those guys hitting the ground running, especially with the expectations of this year.
Yeah, I mean, you look like just some of the brief videos I saw. You see Nick Smith Jr., the number one player in the country, according to 247 Sports. He's out there, running the team. You see him at the top of the key, sort of as the lead guard. You see Jordan Walsh doing what he does, crash the offensive glass for a slam putback. You see Jordan Walsh do one of those things. I mean, I think he's the best one-man fast break,
Yeah.
coast-to-coast player in the country. Take a defensive rebound, go all the way with those long strides, and it seems like he's got that Superman cape when he elevates and finish at the rim. But we're already getting a glimpse of some of the stuff. I mean, Ricky Council the fourth, the last of the five portal transfers in May, just a few weeks ago, to come on board. And he was the first guy, by the way, to get on campus to move in. The last added to the roster, the first to get up there a week ago Friday. But I've already seen videos of him and his head nearly eye level with the rim. So Arkansas's got some athletes. They got some highly rated players, whether it's coming out of high school, transfer portal. We talked so much about it as a lead up and as a build up. Now they're here. They're there. They're in Fayetteville. We just talked about what they've been going through in this first week, but we'll hear more and more now that they're getting settled in, Courtney, when we start thinking about keeping a close eye on some of the videos that I know that the men's basketball program likes to put out,
Yeah.
because even though sometimes they're just a few seconds, you can pull two or three really good nuggets of things out of those.
You
And you
really
kind of
can.
sense that as a fan, right? Because until it gets real, that's all you got.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever they'll release, the Arkansas basketball is back at a peak level with fan interest. And I think fans are paying attention to every little thing that comes out on social media. And, Eric Musselman, of course, the point you made was he was ready to get all these guys together. You've got 11 newcomers out of the 13 scholarship players.
Yeah.
And now he really gets to see firsthand and in person, on the sidelines day in and day out what these guys can do. And he starts working on those combinations and figuring out what he thinks is going to work best for this team.
Yeah, and you need that time as well. It's good that they're getting in now. It's good that they're using the time that they have efficiently because, like you said, with all these newcomers, with all these new faces, you look at a team and you go, wow, there's a lot of new guys and they've got to gel. They've got to figure it out, and that's I know Musselman, based on what he was saying at the beginning of last season, you want to do that as quick as possible so you go in the year and you win games, right? I mean, that's what they want to do. That's what they're trying to do, and they're trying to make it again to the NCAA tournament and make a run in it. And I think this group of guys has a great chance to do that and pick up where last year's group left off.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about back-to-back Elite Eights.
Yeah.
If you look at the SEC, no, Arkansas didn't win an SEC title the last 2 years, but they do have the best overall combined record, and that includes league games against league opponents. So, and then you finish in the top 10 national rankings the last 2 years. So, Arkansas has a standard now being one of the top 2, 3 programs in the SEC. They've gone further in the NCAA tournament the last 2 years than any SEC team has. They've got everything to point to recruits, and we're going to talk a little bit about recruiting.
Yeah.
But once you get your recruits on campus, you've got to, you can stick your chest out as a coaching staff and say, look, this is what works. And the reason we know that you should know that it worked is all you got to do is look at why you signed with us, because we've had success getting our players to the highest levels of the game, getting a lot of exposure, deep runs in the NCAA tournament. You're here to take advantage of that, but we can't get there unless you buy into the coaching, the game plan, the philosophy. And Eric Musselman, with all his years of coaching experience, it's obvious that even when Arkansas hit some bumps, I always talk about it, mid-January, the last 2 seasons, not only did they iron out the problem areas, but they were playing at such a high level from that point forward. They're arguably one of the top 2, 3, 4 teams in college basketball.
Yes.
Going from mid-January, getting into that NCAA tournament. So I think that's what, when you bring in newcomers, you've got their full attention because you've proven it on the floor. There's a reason they wanted to come play for you. Now you've got their full attention and you make it happen. I think Eric Musselman, his staff will, once again, like you said, on paper, everything's there for this to be a team to pick up where last year's team left off, make another run. And then this coaching staff makes tweaks, whether that's rotation, little things, maybe in their philosophy, how they defend, what the strengths and weaknesses of the team are to do those things. But I think at some point they'll push those right buttons. And Arkansas has a chance, when I look at this group, of being a Final Four type of team. We'll see with Jalen Williams' departure, how they replace some of the stuff he did. I thought he was a fixer at both ends. They may need to do that by committee on that front line. Musselman went hard and heavy in about a week's time, right after the season ended, in that portal with big men. But I think Arkansas is in great shape, like you said, to make another run. It's a long way away. You got to have some breaks along the way, but I think Arkansas looks good from this vantage point to maybe do better than it has going back to the Nolan days when they were making Nolan Richardson, when they were making Final Fours.
I completely agree, Kevin. And it's already, I know it's summer, but I'm already excited. When you look at the social media that Arkansas is putting out on these guys, I'm already excited to see this group in action. But I know we have a little bit of time to wait for that. You did tease recruiting. We're going to talk about not the incomers, but maybe the future of Arkansas basketball 2023. And those guys, Layden Blocker and Ron Holland, they have their official visits coming up. Can you kind of talk about that, Kevin?
You nailed it. Tomorrow, it starts with Layden Blocker,
Oh, wow.
ESPN's national number 28, a high-level 4-star. He's knocking on the door, 5-star status. I think he's done enough to really to be there. We'll see when and how soon, or if that happens, but I think it should. But look, he'll be on campus. He's set to arrive at 11 a.m. He's got an itinerary that's, a sheet of itinerary for each Monday and Tuesday that's longer than my arm. But I know that around 2:00, 2:15, they're planning to attend a practice. So we were just talking about this team already doing what they needed to do to get on the court. So he'll attend practice around 2:15 tomorrow. Another busy day on Tuesday. He'll depart sometime early on Wednesday, but it's an official visit. He's been on campus, Blocker has, a couple of times for unofficial visits in the past year or so. But look, 6'2", explosive point guard. And I think a young man that really fits the kind of players that Eric Musselman likes, because he's so aggressive on both ends of the floor. And Musselman demands, energy and enthusiasm and that aggression at both ends. We know he does defensively. But Blocker is a guy that when he gets a defensive rebound, he's one of the top rebounding guards in the country. He'll go coast to coast. He can finish above the rim, but he's also a good facilitator. So he can score. His 3-point shots improved. He'll facilitate. He can be a plus defender. When he gets locked in on that side of the floor, he really can, create havoc, get deflections, steals, and convert those. But a big rebounding guard. He's been really, really good on the Nike EYBL circuit. One of the top players there. Out of 3 sessions, he's made, post session honors as first team all Nike EYBL in 2 of those 3. So it tells you, how consistent he's been. But I think this official visit, after this, he's got Kansas just a few days later. He already visited Kansas State and Maryland back in May,
Hmm.
and Alabama just offered him. We'll see if he tries to squeeze in an Alabama visit.
Okay.
But he reminded me and told me face to face a few days ago that he's going to still planning on making his college choice announcement on his birthday, which is July 2nd. So we're less than a
Oh,
month away
wow.
from that. Right, that's going to move pretty fast for Layden Blocker.
That's
And then
exciting.
you talked about Ron Holland, 6'8" national top 5 according to ESPN, number 4. So a high level 5 star, 6'8" out of Duncanville, Texas. Anthony Black's high school teammate, former teammate with
Wow.
Jordan Walsh on Drive Nation 17U on the Nike EYBL circuit. So
Yeah.
he's got those, not only those Texas ties, DFW ties to current Hogs that are freshmen, but he's also, hopefully as he gets on campus for that official visit, one of several more Texans to visit over the summer and maybe fall. I'm going to go into a little bit of that here in a minute. But Ron Holland at 6'8" is explosive. He's expanded his game where he can play facing up. He's been knocking down more and more from the 3-point line, but a young man that's outstanding in transition,
Yeah.
running to that rim, even on half court sets and playing above defenders to get offensive rebounds and putbacks, and just a player that, when you look at his athleticism and his length and size,
Hmm.
he really does, sort of project as a guy that can be a really good defender because of those physical attributes. And so this is a young man that's got some other visits. He's already visited UCLA. He's got Kentucky coming up.
Okay.
And I think Arkansas is in good shape with him. He's listed Arkansas among his top 8 not long ago.
Yeah,
I
I did
really
see
think
that.
Arkansas is really in his top 3 or 4. We'll see that shake out when the 5 official visits get played out. Arkansas being one of them stands to reason they're in that top 5. But I think they're top 3 or 4, and I think Arkansas's got a great shot, not only with Layden Blocker, but also Ron Holland. And then look, Arkansas is still trying to get other visitors in
Yeah.
from that 23 class, Courtney, in the summer. Now it's going to be hard with the July live sessions, some of these all-star and camp events. But Wesley Yates III, another Texas guard out of Beaumont, a 6'4", big, strong guard, can shoot the ball, has been tearing it up on the Nike EYBL circuit. He's at Pangos All-American Camp starting today for the next few days.
Oh, wow.
And then he'll be taking part in Team USA's under 17 camp, which starts a little bit later in June. So there's a little bit of a window in there. I talked to his dad. They're trying to work it out to squeeze in an official visit after Layden Blocker, after Ron Holland's from the 9th to the 11th, which pushes into next weekend. And maybe there's a little window there where they can visit. If not, they're probably going to do it sometime late in the summer, maybe squeeze one in July. If not, it may be August or September.
Mm.
We look 5-star Bay Fall, a 6'10" forward center out of Colorado, and his 6'10" teammate, a high-level 4-star, Sonny Diop. These guys took an unofficial visit to Arkansas for the Razorbacks game against Kentucky in February.
Yeah.
Their guardian and their grassroots spring and summer coach, Gregory Willis, told me that these guys plan on coming back for an official visit, which if they can't get it done in the summer, will probably more likely happen in August, September. And a couple of more 2023 players. Top 25, Chris Johnson, another guard out of Texas, 6'5".
Oh,
Zayden High, 6'8", 6'9", forward center, also out of Texas. These guys plan on taking official visits to Arkansas. Also trying to squeeze something in the summer, but it's probably going to be the fall. And both of those are outstanding players. So we went through, really, when we talked about Blocker
mm.
and Holland and some of these other names, about 7 players out of the 2023 class that right now I would say are sort of at the top of the list as priority recruits for
Yeah.
Eric Musselman and his staff.
Oh, I love it. The future of Hog Hoops is bright. I love that we're talking about 2023. We haven't even gotten to this season. The new guys just came in, and we're still focusing on the future because it truly is the conversation right now of summers. We're just talking about Arkansas basketball, even though baseball's still going on. We're excited about football. I love what Eric Musselman is doing with this program and how he's making it a part of the conversation at all points of the year. But before I let you go, Kevin, we do have to talk about the Pro Hogs because that helps with recruiting. I mean, looking at Moses Moody with the Warriors right now, competing for a title. I mean, how awesome would it be for him to get it especially with these young guys coming in and looking up to these pro players and what they've been able to accomplish in short times in the league.
Well, you nailed it. That's it. I mean, it's good for the program. Certainly, Moses Moody in 1 year, the first program's first ever one and done was taken in the lottery by the Golden State Warriors, a team loaded with future Hall of Famers in the backcourt. Yet he has carved out a meaningful role on this team, not only during the regular season, but in the playoffs. The Western Conference Finals, he was in the top 7, 8 rotation in the last 3 or 4 of those games. Of course, the Warriors beat the Mavericks in 5 games, but Moses Moody, when you look at the Western Conference Finals, had the second most minutes by a 19-year-old. It's been talked about a lot in the history of the game for a conference finals behind Kobe Bryant. Well, Kobe Bryant was a second-year player, so another way to look at that is Moses Moody was the first. I think played the most minutes for a 19-year-old rookie, so he leads in that category. But the other thing is, the Warriors are down already 0-1 against the Celtics. They'll play tonight, game two, in San Francisco. So they're going to have a chance to break even before this series shifts over to Boston on the other coast. But I'll say it like this: Moses Moody checked in for just under a minute in game one, and that means that Arkansas has now had a player that played at Arkansas that's played in the NBA Finals for 2 consecutive seasons. Because we know Bobby Portis, the People's Champ in Milwaukee, was a big part of the Bucks' run to a title last year.
Yep.
And speaking of Portis, he's going to have his annual foundation at the end of July. So I'm
Oh,
going to
okay.
get more information about that as it becomes available. But Bobby Portis, who I think, because he has a player option on his 2-year deal with Milwaukee, he stands to have a handsome payday, a handsome raise, and maybe a longer term contract.
Well, that's what I
So
was
I
about to
look for
ask
him
you.
to opt out of that, but I look for him to stay in Milwaukee. We're going to keep an eye on that.
Yeah.
We'll see if the highest bidder tempts him, but I think Bobby Portis is likely to stay in Milwaukee. And then real quick, Isaiah Joe
Yeah.
just wrapped up his second season with the Philadelphia 76ers. Back home in Fort Smith for a short break. I was able to get back down to Fort Smith, or up to Fort Smith from Little Rock, or west
Oh,
over.
awesome.
Yeah, midweek. Got to go up there early in the week and hang out with Isaiah in the gym. Spent about two and
Awesome.
a half hours. He had already put in 3 hours of work in the weight room and took probably
Wow.
1,500 shots, most of them from deep three, and was just lighting it up. And he just never seemed to. His batteries never seemed to run low. He was so accurate. But it was good to catch up with him and see him in the gym. He'll be getting back to Philly here soon. And by the way, he was up in Fayetteville this weekend, so I'm going to be trying to nose around and see if he got in that performance center with some of the new Hogs.
Ooh.
Heard Mason Jones was up there as well, so going to try to find out more about how some of that maybe went down and played out.
Yeah, that would be huge. I was about to ask you about Bobby because we've been seeing so much news about him all over social media. The Bucks want to keep him around, and now I even saw a report coming out today that said other teams know that Bobby is going to stay in Milwaukee. So it looks like, I don't want to, nothing's confirmed yet, but it looks like you're right on that prediction that Milwaukee's going to get him for a little bit longer, which will be great for them, I know, and great for Bobby too. I feel like Milwaukee and Milwaukee fans really, really love him there and have rallied around him as well. It's nice to see that he's found a real nice home in the NBA.
Yeah, so much of it's transactional, and that's a really, players come and go. But I think what you just said is really big. Milwaukee has a long history with former Razorback Sidney Moncrief, the Hall
Yeah,
of Famer. His numbers retired there, and Bobby Portis is one of many. But he's got a special place. He endeared himself to that city, helped them get winning title for the first time in 50 years. You have to go back to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar before he was a Laker and one of maybe the greatest of all time. But now Bobby's playing next to a guy who's going to be in that conversation for a top 10 player all time at some point, the Greek freak Giannis Antetokounmpo. But I think Bobby, even though they've got star power there and superstar power in that town, he brings a little something different that the city of Milwaukee, that blue collar, down to earth guy that's out there having fun, and brings a lot of energy. And it really has helped that organization take a step,
yeah.
winning a title. But at the same time, night in, night out, they love what he brings to the floor, and they love his passion for the game and energy. So I think it's a great fit, and I do look for Bobby to stay in Milwaukee.
Yeah, I love watching him as well. Well, we'll see how Moses Moody does with the Warriors in that series, and hopefully we'll have an update from you next week on and how they do and everything like that. But we always appreciate you for sitting down with us, Kevin, and hopefully you have a great rest of your week.
You too, Courtney. Thank you.
Thank you.